Welcome back to Web Woman. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Lauren Webb, and if you are here for the first time, welcome. If you are returning, thank you for choosing to spend time with me. This video is an exercise in consistency because I've made a commitment to myself to show up for this channel every Monday, and hoping that through consistency, I will practice and get better and become a better outgoing source of what is it that I'm here for. It's not that I want to be here's the thing. Like, I don't want to be a source of anything for anyone. That's not my job and that's not my role. And in fact, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today was like, what is our role as guides and teachers and mentors, or just as people living life together? Because I find that I learn so much from so many people, and yet I often, from my upbringing and from the religious conditioning that I had, and not even just religious, just the world conditioning that I have had, a lot of it came down to feeling responsible for people around me. And maybe that's because I was a firstborn. Any other firstborns out there? I mean, if that may be what it is. Someone who has much more expertise in psychology can probably tell me. But it's like I feel responsible. I have felt responsible for people, to bring them along. And those are the words that have been playing in my head as I consider my next steps forward. If you're wondering what this is behind me, this is where my kids played with mud and threw it at the wall. So there you go, little real life, little mud on the walls. Um, but as I've been walking through my journey and trying to figure out, like, what do I want to do? What do I want to say? Why do I have anything to say? Why do I feel like I need to speak? Part of that question, part of that equation has been, am I feeling responsible for people in ways that I am not responsible for people, for making people happy, for even disrupting things? Like, someone needs to say something and trying to disrupt something. Am I taking on the persona, or the ego drama that is not mine to hold? And in essence, am I creating karma because I am not living in my essence? And so that is something I've been thinking about. So as I am on this journey, making this channel, even to talk to everybody and just to connect, that has been part of my questioning of myself. Why do I want to be here? Why do I want to speak to you guys? And one of the things that a friend of mine recommended, and it really does mean a lot, is telling people, talking as if I were talking to a younger version of myself. What did I need to hear? What did I need to know? And so, along these same lines, I am now speaking to my younger self, to my me at 21, me at 25, and going, and I'm going to tell her this beautiful, wonderful part of myself. I'm going to say, honey, you do not have to be responsible for anybody else. It is not your job if anyone understands. It is not your job to bring anyone else along, because the beauty of life is this: they will come to wherever they're meant to be, whenever they're meant to be, because spirit and source inside of them, the spirit of truth inside of them, is better at getting them to where they need to be than you are. And part of the reason this is coming up for me too is because of my children, and watching them grow older, and kind of freaking out, because it's like my time with them is my time as exclusively there in my home, and they're directly learning from me. That time, that window, and even I mean, you could argue that it's probably already closed because of their ages, in the sense of, my influence over them is diminishing on a daily basis, and that's not a bad thing. That sounds really dramatic. But really what it is that they're growing older and they're experiencing the world, and they have their own journeys to walk with spirit. And so I have to ask myself, is it my job to make them follow a path. And I'm going to tell you, for anybody, spoiler alert, for anybody who doesn't have kids, who has never been challenged in this way. I mean, I'm not saying there's not other ways you could be challenged this way, but it becomes very clear with children when you realize you have no control. That is an illusion. It is completely an illusion. And it's when you're holding on to that illusion of control that suffering gets introduced into the relationship, into your mental space. The illusion of control is one of the funniest and worst illusions. And funny, like, haha, like it really is that saying of like, man makes plans and God laughs kind of thing. And I don't think that's like a sadistic God who's going, you, how dare you make plans. It's more along the lines of, it's more along, if you're okay, like, on The Office, when like there's an episode where like Jim, sorry if you're not an Office fan, there's an episode where Jim is boss because Michael leaves for the day or whatever, and he tries to like make everybody celebrate the birthday to be more efficient, blah blah blah. And the very end of the episode, Michael's like, you try to do the one birthday to make it more efficient, and he's like, yep. And he's like, you'll learn, and that's what I feel like God does with us. I'm not saying Michael Scott is God, but I will say this: it's like God is, or spirit or source, because it's like God goes, mm, you think you can control anything, anything? Let me know how that works out for you. And it's not because He has control. There's a hard one. It's not because God is in control of everything. That's not how the universe works. It's not because source controls and manipulates all of us to do something. Nope, it's not. It's because we are divinely guided with mercy and kindness in the hopes that we will find our greatest good. Now, here's the beauty of the universe around us: we always will find our greatest good. It's just a matter of, when do we know it's good? When do we realize it's heaven? When do we realize it's the kingdom? Well, that's the rub. That's where time and space comes in. And I'm getting complicated. I'm not trying to confuse anybody. Let me know in the comments if this makes any sense at all. But the last thing that I will say is that as we are in this space of learning to communicate ourselves and what are we meant to do here, what are we supposed to be doing in this world, I just want to assure you, you are not responsible for anybody else. You are free to be whoever you are, however you want to be. Not saying there won't be consequences to your action, that's a whole other thing. But you don't have to make anybody understand. You can let go of the burden of trying to bring people with you. The people who are meant to come with you, they'll come. The people who are meant to find you, they'll find you. And the people who are supposed to be let go of, they will drift away. And it will seem sad, and it's okay to grieve them. But I just want to assure you, beloved, you are amazing as you are. And you are free, precious soul, to be who you need to be without controlling the other. I hope this helps. Thank you for being with me on this Monday. Sorry, it's a little all over the place, but here I am and here you are, and I'm so glad that we got to spend this time together.